Welcome to PAATH History. Today we are going to discuss about the nature of crusade, historiography. The historiography of the Crusades has been a controversial topic since at least the Protestant Reformation. The term Crusades was first used to refer to the entire period from the First Crusade until the fall of the Kingdom of Jerusalem in French historiography of the 17th century. The 18th century Enlightenment ideology, as represented by Edward Gibbon and Voltaire, held up the Crusades as an example of medieval barbarism, while 19th century Romantic nationalism tended to paint them in a heroic light, surrounding the Crusades with an aura of romance and grandeur, of chivalry and courage. In Eastern Orthodoxy, the Crusades had always been viewed in light of the disastrous attack on Constantinople in the Fourth Crusade. In the Islamic world, the Crusades were mostly ignored prior to the growth of Arab nationalism in the 20th century. In Jewish historiography, the Crusades are mostly seen in the context of their being accompanied by the first displays of anti-Semitism in medieval Europe. The social position of the Jews in Western Europe was distinctly worsened, and legal restrictions increased during and after the Crusades. Giles Constable describes four different perspectives among scholars: traditionalists, pluralists, generalists, and popularists. The traditionalists restrict their definition of the Crusades to the Christian campaigns in the Holy Land, either to assist the Christians there or to liberate Jerusalem and the Holy Sepulchre during 1095 to 1291. The pluralists use the term crusade of any campaign explicitly sanctioned by the reigning pope. This reflects the view of the Roman Catholic Church, including medieval contemporaries such as Saint Bernard Clairvaux, that every military campaign given papal sanction is equally valid as a crusade, regardless of its cause, justification, or geographical location. This broad definition includes attacks on paganism and heresy, such as the Albigensian Crusade, the Northern Crusades, and the Hussite Wars, and wars for political or territorial advantage, such as the Aragonese Crusade in Sicily, a crusade declared by Pope Innocent III against Marquard of Anouilh in 1202, one against the Stadingers, several declared by different popes against Emperor Frederick II and his sons, two crusades against opponents of King Henry III of England, and the Christian reconquest of Iberia. The generalists see crusades as any and all holy wars connected with the Latin Church and fought in defense of the faith. The popularists limit the crusades to only those that were characterized by popular groundswells of religious fervor, that is, only the First Crusade and perhaps the People's Crusade. There was little interest in the Crusades in Islamic culture prior to the 20th century. Carol Hillenbrand has argued that Arab historians have often taken a Western viewpoint because they have historically been opposed to Turkish control of their homelands. Jonathan Phillips, in his work The Fourth Crusade and the Sack of Constantinople, summarizes the general indifference by stating that most Muslims see the Crusades as just another invasion among many of their history. The popular prevailing view in the 19th and early 20th century originated in the writings of the Scottish novelist Sir Walter Scott and the French historian Joseph-François Michaud. Scott published 4 crusade-based novels between 1819 and 1831. Influenced by the Enlightenment and the philosopher-historian William Robertson, Scott's view was the Crusades were the incursions of glamorous but uneducated Western Europeans into a superior civilization. Michaud published his influential Historiography Crusades between 1812 and 1822, depicting the Crusades as glamorous instruments of nationalism and proto-imperialism. The Romantics and conservative adherents of the European Ancien regimes appropriated crusading imagery for their own 19th century political goals, downplaying religion to fit within a modern secular context and presenting Crusades as a counterpart to liberal ideas of nationalism. The Salle des Crusades in the north wing of the Palace of Versailles opened in 1843, commissioned by King Louis Philippe at a time when France was seized with enthusiasm with its historical past and especially the period of the Crusades. The rooms are filled with over 120 paintings related to Crusades. These incompatible views agreed only on a crusade was defined by its opposition to Islam, but began to merge in the 1920s as crusading began to be interpreted in social and economic terms by liberal economic historians within an imperialist context, assuming that crusading was an early example of colonialism. So Scott's Enlightenment, inferior culture attacking a more sophisticated culture, mixed with Michaud's romantic proto-colonialist conviction. By the 1950s, this established a neo-imperialistic and materialistic orthodoxy that remains the popular perceptions. In the second half of the 20th century, Western historiography again tended to be more critical of the Crusades following Stephen Runciman. Popular opinion, influenced by general trends of decolonization and critical theory, tended to portray the Crusades with a sense of Western guilt. Stephen Runciman's 3-volume History of the Crusades, published in between 1951 and 54, marks a turn from the idealization of the Crusades as heroic enterprise in the 19th century to their denunciation as a barbarian invasion, primarily of the Byzantine Empire, among a current of historiography of the second half of the 20th century. Peter Frankopan says that Runciman's work instantly became the most widely known and respected single-author survey of the subject in English. Thomas F. Madden stresses the impact of Runciman's style and viewpoint as having single-handedly crafted the current popular concept of the Crusades by painting the Crusaders as simpletons or barbarians. An attempt at an updated account of the period was presented by Christopher Tierman with his God's War, A New History of the Crusades. Adam Nobler examines the use of the Crusades as a national symbol from the 19th century to the 1910s in France, Spain, the Ottoman Empire, Ethiopia, Britain, Russia, and Bulgaria. In early 21st literature, a pluralist view has become common, which tends to generalize the concept of the Crusades to include other medieval military campaigns authorized by the Church, such as the Northern Crusades, the Albigensian Crusade, or the Reconquista. So this is the end of our today's discussion. Please subscribe our channel, like our video and comment. Listen to our podcast episodes. Follow our official Facebook page, Twitter handle and Instagram. For any query, feel free to mail us. For details, see the description.